The views, stories, and opinions shared on Caregiving and Conversations are my own. The experiences I discuss are personal and honest reflections of my caregiving journey and genuine feelings. They are shared with transparency and authenticity and should never be interpreted as a lack of love, respect, or care for my loved ones. The views, stories, and opinions expressed by guests on this podcast are entirely their own and do not necessarily reflect those of Caregiving and Conversations or its hosts. The experiences and information shared are intended for educational and informational purposes only. They are not intended to replace professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the guidance of your physician or another qualified healthcare provider regarding any medical condition or health-related concerns. Thank you for listening and welcome to Caregiving and Conversations. Welcome to Caregiving and Conversations, everyone. How are you doing today? All right, come on in. Let's have a conversation. We have a special guest with us today, Carlene. Carlene, how are you today?
I am doing very well. Thank you.
All right. Yes. So before we get started, one of the things I like to do is what I call my 2-word check-in. And that is just give me 2 words of how you're feeling today. And we'll go. You get to go first, being the guest.
Excited and grateful.
I love those words. I love those
Excited
words.
and grateful.
Yes. So my 2 words today is probably going to be frustrated because of technology, but I'm also grateful. So what you guys don't know is Carlene and I have been doing this for 26 minutes trying to get this started.
Right.
So,
That's okay.
we can't help technology. So hopefully we can, push through. I just know that this is, the devil trying to work, and because he knows what's going to happen today is going to be a very good conversation, and we're just going to keep on going through. So,
Yep.
all right, we got that
He
out of the
will not
way.
win. He will not
Yes.
win.
So we got that out of the way. All right. So I just want to give a little background. So it was probably 2017. I got a phone call or DM from a Facebook friend who I have never met. And he reached out and he said, "Hey, I have a friend that is just now starting out in her caregiving journey. Would you mind speaking with her, talking to her?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely." And it was Carlene. And so her name is Carlene, but you'll see we both have on our twins t-shirts that say she. There's a story behind that. We'll get to that. But the other part is talking to Carlene, because I always try to do a conversation with people before I bring them on a podcast just to make sure what their story is. And when I tell you, our stories were identical. So we start calling each other twins. So if you hear me throughout this episode calling her twin, I'm actually talking about Carlene. So we got that out of the way. But anyways, this friend, Jonathan, reached out and said, "I want you to meet, or can you talk to Carlene and ask her and talk to her about her caregiving journey?" And I was like, "Sure, absolutely." And I think we Facebooked through DM a couple of times, and then it just kind of went ghost after that. And then just recently I reached back out and I was like, "Hey, I'm doing this podcast. Like, you want to join me on the podcast?" And she said yes, even though she said she was a little nervous. So she's going to do great. But you'll see just how stories may be different, but there's always a running theme of things that are the same. So, twin, do you just want to give just a little bit of your story? And again, I just want people to feel free to give what they want to give. So, the floor is yours.
Okay. And it is true. It was 2017 because that's when I moved back to Michigan, to Detroit.
Okay.
The funny thing is, I guess he was my Facebook friend too, and I've never met him either. So it's just this, Facebook friend. We went to Facebook High together.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. So Facebook is like this big universe thing,
Yeah.
right? But it's so small. And what I didn't realize with Twin is she used to live in Dallas. We went to the same church, know some of the same people. So it's
Yep.
just small world, a lot of people. So
Yeah.
okay, go
Yeah.
ahead, tell your story.
So I had just moved back to Michigan to take care of my mom who took ill. And it was in 2017. So I guess he had just been following my journey, because I was posting things about my journey. And he reached out to me and he was like, "Hey, I need you really should meet this person. Her name is Tiffany. She has similar background, she's a caregiver too." And I'm just like, okay. Like, all right. And so I think he connected us and it just kind of went from there. And yeah, we did kind of DM a couple times, and I guess life got busy for both of us. And then just recently, sh- a couple, a month or two ago, we reached out and we ended up having a conversation that turned into a 3-hour our first
Don't tell
conversation
nobody
was
that. Don't tell nobody that.
oh, look, oops.
No, it's
No, but
fine.
that just goes to show, I mean,
Mhm.
we, like, had so much in common when we were
Yeah.
talking that time just flew by. I mean, we laughed like we were old friends who had known each other forever. Because again, we were sharing our caregiver stories, and that's kinda how, I don't know if you want me to talk about it? That's
Go
kinda
ahead.
how our T-shirts came about. One of the caregiver stories I was sharing, and it's one of the funnier ones, because there was some funny moments. And look, now that you look back on it, there was some funny moments. And that particular moment was I was sharing how I was like, my mom, I can't believe she in there talking about me. I'm like, she in there saying she this and she that. I'm like, who is she? And Tiffany chimed in and was like, I was she too. So that's how we got
That's how we got
the
our
t-shirt.
shirts. We are she. We are
We are
she
the she,
twins.
the she twins. But yeah, so 2017, I left Dallas, which I was in Dallas. I don't know, were we there at the same time?
No, because
Okay.
when was in Atlanta and then I moved back in 2018.
Okay. So I left Dallas in 2017. I was also a member of Concord Church. I left, you came back to Dallas. I was in Michigan and I stayed there from 17 to 24. I moved to Atlanta. You had left Atlanta and came back to Dallas. And so now here we are.
I
So
know.
we
I
have a
know.
lot of similarities in our story. But yeah, I took care of my mom for 6.5 years before she passed away. Um, one of my siblings helped quite a bit. My young brother right under me, Lawrence, he helped me. Like, I honestly don't know how I could have done it without him. He was my support. He was my confidant. He was my venting person. He was just there for me and supported me. And I honestly, like, I can't even imagine how I would have did it without him. So,
I I totally get it. I totally get it. How many siblings do you have? How many are there in their family?
I have 4 siblings total.
Okay. All right. All right. So it was you and then your brother, and your brother was there to be a support system for you, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
So he
Yeah.
helped my mom, as much as she can, but she needed a lot of physical help. So he was there kind of like my support, anything I needed for mom, he was just right there. He was literally a phone call away. I mean, sometimes it was 2 o'clock in the morning and he had to be up and at work at 7. And, he was still a phone call away. So I just, yeah, I couldn't have done it without him.
Now, did he live in Michigan with you at the same time?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So this episode is about siblings and boundaries, um, boundaries around caregiving,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of dynamics when it comes to siblings, just siblings in itself. Then if you
Mhm.
add the emotional part of the caregiving and the responsibilities, like how does that happen? Like who's going to be the caregiver, especially when there's more than one? Um, so how was that decision made for you to be the caregiver when you were living in Dallas at the time to move back to Detroit?
Well, let's see.
Was the
You
default
know,
were you default because
I
you were
think
the
it was. No,
okay.
you know what? My mom and I, we always had a really close relationship. Like when I was living in Dallas, she was my, if I had something to tell that was funny, we shared the same sense of humor. She was the first person I called. Um, I would talk to her at least 2 to 3 times a day. You know, me calling her, oh mom, guess what? Da 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 da, or sharing my day with her. So she was always my like go-to person. And that was one of the reasons too how I knew she wasn't doing well, because I knew her voice. You know, we talked so much that I knew the sound of her voice and I knew when it was something wasn't right. Um, but I think I just felt it was a sense of responsibility. Personally, I felt that way.
Yep.
I didn't feel like, I guess when I went into it, I just went into it. I didn't think about who was going to help, who wasn't going to help. I just knew that, you know, I it was my responsibility. And then also, my mom was a single mom, so I had always promised her I would always look out for her. You know, and I always told her, no matter what, I'm gonna always take care of you. And so that was me too honoring my promise to her.
Mhm. Mhm.
Yeah,
And then when you made that move,
that was a big
how
one.
yeah, 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 tell me about it. When you made that move back from Dallas back to Detroit, were there any conversations with your siblings about this is what I'm doing? You just kind of did
No,
it?
no, it was in a matter of 4 weeks.
Oh, okay.
4 weeks,
All right.
you know,
All
I
right.
packed up and um basically packed up my life in Dallas, put everything in storage, and moved to Detroit. My mom was not a sickly person,
Mhm.
so I think what put me into that mode of just I got to get there, I got to do it, was because she was never a sickly person, and this was kind of like her. This was a major health scare, and it scared me to the point I was like, you know, I don't care. I just got to go take care of my mom. That's all I thought about, you know.
Yeah.
Hindsight, had I wish I would have done it differently, yes. You know, but in that moment, in that time, all I could think about was she needed me and I need to be there.
Yeah, I totally get it. I know when my mom had her diagnosis, and I was like, okay, so having the diagnosis of multiple sclerosis was one thing, but when she
Yeah.
actually became disabled and she wasn't able to do anymore, it was a matter of having a flare up and all of a sudden everything changed. And so when I
Yeah.
look back at it now, it definitely, I made a lot of knee jerk decisions
Mhm.
where I wish I could have made some different decisions.
Yeah.
But we can't go back and change that now. One of the things I wish I would have done was have more conversation with my siblings about what does this care look like? Kind of like you, I just went into go moment and just did whatever needed to be done. I just did it.
Yeah.
One of my brothers was in college, so there wasn't, we wanted him like it was a decision. You are going to finish school. Like no matter what, we are going to have you
Mhm.
finish school. But keeping those lines of communication open and stating like one of the things I wish I would have done was I'm going to do this for X amount of time, and then somebody else can do this for X amount of time. But it didn't go that way. Was
Yeah.
there any conversation that you wish you would have had with your siblings as far as setting a boundary, as far as time frame of caring, or even respite care. Just, was there any conversations with that?
No.
Okay.
And to be, I guess, perfectly honest, I felt like they were there and there was no support or help. So I can't really rely on that. And I don't know. I guess I'm just a person of you see what's going on and you are there, then I shouldn't have to have a conversation. It's not, I felt like it's not 90% my mom and then 10% divide amongst four is your mom. You know what I mean? Like, so it's as grown, people don't want people to tell them what to do as adults. But then they go, well, why you didn't? I'm like, well, you know what? I didn't feel I had to say anything when you see the circumstance and what's going on. So I just went into, you know what? I'm going to do what I need to do. If you want to help, then the door is always open and I will welcome it. But I don't, I didn't feel like I should have to have a conversation
Yeah.
with grown
Yeah.
adults when
Yeah.
you see the situation that your parent is in. And the fact that I needed to have that conversation, it just kind of made me angrier even more. The fact that I need to have a conversation with you. So I just said, you know what, I'm going to just do what I'm going to do in my means of doing it. And whoever helps, whoever don't. And I think I honestly felt more sorrowful for my mom than for myself. At first, it was about me, because you at first everything is bombarded towards you, and you're like, oh my God, this is so overwhelming. I've never done this before. I don't know what to do. I don't know who to ask to do what. I don't know where to go. I just know I got to take care of this person. This person is in their own little deal because they're dealing with their new way of living in their life, and they're angry and now they're taking
Yeah.
it out on you. That's kind of where
Mhm.
she comes
She,
from because
she. I'm like,
they're
I have a
angry.
name. I have a name.
Like, I'm like, who is she talking about? Surely I'm not she.
Exactly. And so people are probably looking at us, right? Like, why are they laughing? When you're in the midst of caregiving, it's so hard to find the
Yeah,
humor, right? You're
yeah,
just going through the motions. You're taking everything personal, whether it's
yeah,
from your loved one, like for you, it's your mom. For me, it was my mom. So you're taking it personal on how they're treating you. And then for me, I even took it personal. Um, when my brothers weren't stepping up on certain things the
yeah.
way that I wanted them to.
Hmm.
And I like what you said when you said it wasn't 90% my mom and 10% split around
Right.
amongst the four of you.
Exactly.
For me, I just had two brothers, right? And so it wasn't, it was different. There's five of you. So that's
Right.
different. For me, it was just the three of us. Um, but today we can look back at it and we can laugh
Yeah. Yeah.
because, even though twins mother is no longer here with us, but my mom is still here, we can look back on those moments and we can laugh, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been through it. We know that um, there is an end. We don't know when that end is going to
Yeah.
happen. So if
Yeah.
you could, no, go ahead.
Um, yeah, in the moment, it wasn't funny. It was
No,
nothing was funny. Look, nothing was funny.
no, nothing,
But
nothing.
you know what? Now I can look back, and now like the she thing is, we both laughed about that, and
Mhm.
there is some moments that was good moments, very good moments, and
Mhm.
I got a lot out of it. I learned a lot about
Absolutely.
myself. My
Mhm.
faith grew, because I didn't have the support system that I thought I would have. So my support system became God and my faith. And
Amen.
so that's why I'm like, I wouldn't change anything other than the knee jerk initially of how I left my prior life, to go to my new life. I think that's the only regret that I have. Other than
Mhm.
that, if I had to do it all over again, I would do it all over again. Yeah.
Yeah, I tell people all the time, caregiving is gonna be that thankless job,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the most priceless job that you will ever have. Um,
Absolutely.
and I got to a place where I got over the I wish you would do, can you guys just, and I
Yeah.
got over that. Now don't get me wrong, even when I got over it, there were moments where I was like,
Yeah. Yeah.
and part of
Absolutely.
it, there was a lot of truth in it. It was just my
Mhm.
delivery on how I was, but that
Right.
delivery was coming out of a place of frustration.
Yeah.
And when we think about it, like looking back now, I could pinpoint every little thing I could have done differently.
Oh my
What I
God.
wouldn't have done differently though is care for my mom.
Yeah. I still
Certain,
have those thoughts every day.
yeah,
I wish I would have done it this way,
yeah.
or I wish I would have done it that way. But you know what I learned, twin? I learned over the course of it's almost been 3 years now. And what I've learned, and I guess I'm gonna cry. I'm sorry if I cry.
You're
But
fine.
again, my faith grew. It grew. Like, I'm surprised. I'm surprised at my faith now. And it's taught me so much grace. I
Ooh,
think if I don't get anything else out of it, it's taught me grace. Even to the other siblings, I just said, you know what? They didn't have the capacity. They didn't have the
ooh,
capacity. Um, and yeah, they didn't have the capacity. And that's something that they will have to, I don't know, maybe not deal with, everybody's journey is different. Um,
absolutely.
but I know that I did and gave everything that I had and could give. And now I don't have anger towards them. I did at first. Yeah. Oh yeah. That first year I was like, woo. But it wasn't until I like hit a brick wall and I surrendered to God. And I was just like, I can't do this. Either I'm going to continue to hate them and then not know how long this journey is going to be. And I'm just going to be bitter and angry this whole journey.
Yeah,
Or I'm going to just surrender all of this to God and He'll have to deal with them in His own way. And I can't be mad or angry with them anymore. And that's when I realized I can't have those conversations, because if I have those conversations, I'm gonna be upset if they don't say what I
what you
want
want
them
to.
to say.
Okay,
So
so let's
go
talk
ahead.
about that. Let's talk
Yeah.
about that. Like when we talk about setting boundaries and our sibling, what could what could a sibling say that would satisfy you? Do you have anything?
You know what? It was one incident that happened. Um, so I got to the point, I was taking care of my mother 24/7. Well, not 24 because she
Yeah, yeah.
slept, but so I was like, I think I need like 1 weekend a month off. That's it. You know, the other, 27 days out of the month, I'm doing it all the time,
Mhm.
everything. And my mom was hands on because she was partially immobile. So she had to have help, whether it was bathing, whether it was toiletry, all of those things. She had to have help with everything. So I'm like, can I just get like a long weekend, like 3 days, just once a month? And let me just go out of town or whatever. Even if it was a staycation at a hotel, just so the brother that helped, all the time, for some, I think he had to work or something. So he asked one of the other siblings if they would, pitch in that weekend. And that sibling said, who goes out of town every month? And he was like,
A
Carlene
caregiver.
does. A caregiver. Carlene does. I'm like, you work your job 40 hours a week and you have the weekends off. I don't have that luxury. Can I just have 3 days out of the whole month?
Mhm.
You know?
Mhm.
So I to answer your question, I don't know what like, because that's why I said I would when I got to the point of surrendering and I was like, you
Yeah.
know what, God's gonna handle them.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have any more conversations. I didn't want to because I didn't want to go back to where I was and how
Mhm.
I was feeling. So I was like, I didn't want to risk that because I wasn't
Mhm.
sure how the conversation would go. And
Mhm.
I couldn't have taken him saying that to my face. He said it to the other sibling.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
couldn't have taken that because I probably would have just went off, you know?
Yeah.
So I
Mhm.
was like, but we laughed about it, me and
Mhm.
the sibling that helped. We laughed about it, but but yeah, so I ended up having to hire a caregiver to come in to relieve the caregiver.
Yeah.
And it was very fortunate that I found a young lady who did it kind of on the side part time. She was actually a full time hospice aide.
Oh,
So she
okay.
was very, very passionate, and she was actually the only one my mother was comfortable with when I was gone. So when Anita helped, when I had to take a leave or whatever, I felt completely comfortable leaving because I knew Anita was going to take care of her like I took care of her.
Mhm.
And actually, she did a better job than me. She did a better job than me. So when I would leave to, take a break, it was actually a break for me and my mom because my mom was like, yeah, you need a break. And she was ready for me to go because I was ready to go. But
Yeah.
then when I came back, it was like a reset for both of us, both of our
Yeah.
attitudes. It was a reset.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I totally get that. I'm because in the moment we're looking for the support. We're looking for somebody to say something to us that
Yeah.
will ease some of what we're going through, some of that heavy weight.
Mhm.
But like you said, if they would have not responded the way that you wanted them
Yeah.
to, then that
It
adds a
was
whole nother layer.
right.
Um, and so I think one of the things we could do is communicate and tell them what we're needing, right?
Yeah.
And say, like you said, I need 1 weekend a month. Please just
Mhm.
give me that. Um, so communicating what our needs are. A lot of times when I was in it, I didn't even know what I needed. I was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know. So it was
Yeah.
hard for me to communicate. So I
Mhm.
think having check-ins with your sibling often, right, is very important. If I could do it again, I mean, we're still in it. The roles have all changed, especially now that my mom is living in an assisted living facility,
Okay.
and so she's not in someone's home because that's hard when you're
Yeah.
doing the 24/7.
Yeah.
And I was still working a full-time job, but even then, I didn't even know how to communicate. I remember, it was 2016, and I was still living here in Dallas, and I kept having these headaches, and I was like, "Ooh, these headaches, these headaches, these headaches," and I went to the doctor and I said, I need to get something for this headache. It just won't go away. And the doctor took my blood pressure and she didn't say anything right away. And we were talking. She's like, tell me more about these headaches. And she came back and she took the blood pressure again. And my blood pressure was like 190 something over 120 something. And
Yeah.
she's like, I could actually admit you to the hospital. And my response was, no, you can't. I have to get home and take care of my mom.
Yep.
She
Yeah.
said, if you go down, who's going to take care of your mom?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting in this doctor's office bartering with bartering with my doctor. Can you just give me something for this headache and whatever you need to do to get the blood pressure down? And she's like, you're not taking this serious. And I'm like, actually, I need to get back to work, but like,
Yeah.
can we? And so I don't think the caregiver didn't even know how to take care of the caregiver.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I did have to reach out to my brother and I said, I need a break. I actually need a break. And I remember my mom going to my brother for like 2 weeks to give me a break.
Mhm.
And in that 2 weeks, I was able to sleep. I was able to go to the gym. I got to eat what I wanted. I can sleep when I want. I got to do, in that 2 weeks, almost felt like 2 months.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just knew I have to do a better job of setting a boundary. I have to do a better job with expressing what I need, and it shouldn't get to me getting almost admitted into the hospital for me
Yeah.
to kind of get that kind of care. Um, so I think that's one of the things that we can do with our siblings is, make let what we because we can even say, I don't know what I need right now, but if I come to you and tell you later, I just need you to be open and to receive it, right? I don't need all those questions because you're asking for 72 hours out of a month. I haven't done the calculation,
Yeah.
but how many
Yeah.
hours are in a month? You just needed
Well,
72 of them.
well, here's the thing too. I have 4 siblings, so that meant you only had to do it maybe twice a year.
Yeah,
If you
like if
look
we
at it from
rotate
that
it.
perspective, it's like you only had to do it twice a year,
Yeah,
possibly,
yeah, yeah.
and for you to question that, so that's why I was like, okay, so this is a different group,
Mhm,
and I obviously can't rely on, or they won't be my go-to. So
mhm.
I think that's when I just went into the mode of I got to do what I have to do for
Yeah,
myself. And if they want to, fine. If they don't, then, I can't be mad or upset. That's just it. But
yeah,
definitely, if you have that kind of um, communication with your siblings, that you're able to have rational conversations with your siblings,
yeah,
then yeah, absolutely, have those conversations early. Um, honestly, what I believe is that all of this about the caregiving, about how things are going to happen if mom goes into this or does this, if dad, this happens, that should be a family conversation prior
yeah,
to
yes.
any type of incident because
Mhm.
I currently now work in a senior care environment. And, I tell them most of them, I would say like 80% of them are pretty healthy and still driving. I, I inform them from my perspective that you should have these type of conversations with your family prior to anything happening so that it won't be a situation where you have no choice or your choices are, taken away from you because you're in this situation. Whether it be be put in a nursing home or, things like that. Or who's gonna take care of you? Is it gonna be Sally and Billy? Is it
Yeah,
gonna be,
yeah, yeah.
whatever the case may be, it should be a family plan.
Oof.
And sometimes those are hard conversations. Um, I know even me having a conversation with my mom about like if you die, how do you want that to look? Do you want to be cremated? Do you want to be buried? And she for the longest would not talk to me about that. But I'm a very direct person. So I'm like,
Again,
okay,
twins.
yeah, yeah, very direct. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna circle back, but we're gonna have this conversation. And she eventually, I think she started to see, okay, I need to have this conversation. And it lessened the scariness of it all too, when you
Yeah,
have those kind of conversations. And
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said have those conversations earlier. And it needs to be a family discussion about roles, about responsibilities, what your
Yeah.
parents want to be able to honor that. We're seeing in the news right now with Malcolm Jamal Warner and his
Mm,
wife and child and taking it to the media and
yeah.
having a lawsuit against the mother. We've seen it with what's his Chaswick
Yeah. Heather Bowman.
Bowman, yeah, and his wife, and now his brothers are saying, "Oh, she's not doing what she needs to do," and so we have to have those conversations, um, especially when you have means and resources,
Yeah.
because we don't want it to fight, and we know that can always be a fight, right?
Right.
The who did what, who should be, all of those things. Um, I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but my mom didn't have a lot.
Yeah.
She didn't have a lot, so
Yeah.
it wasn't a lot for us to even fight over. It
Hmm.
wasn't.
Yeah.
It's not a lot to fight
Yeah.
over. Um, but I do know that those conversations are had. We did have those conversations when my mom's brain was still working and she still knew some of her needs and wants and what did she want.
Yeah.
And we do touch base once a year, just kind of like, hey, this is what we're still in agreement, right? But that comes from trial and error. That has come with 25 years of being in this caregiving game with the three of us and having those conversations. Um, but at first, yeah, we weren't having no convers we weren't having
Yeah.
those conversations, and you kinda touched on it a little. I think you back in.
Yeah. I can hear you now. You're still frozen.
Technology problems, and I don't know what's going on.
It
Oh,
always happens. The
the internet
conversation
just
is
went
just
out.
getting good. There you go. Uh,
Actually, my power went out.
Oh no.
Alright,
Is it-
I don't know what's going on. It's some huge technology issues, but I just wanna thank Twin for coming on
I can
and
hear you
talking
now.
about siblings
Okay.
and boundaries. We will probably continue this conversation on another day, but, yeah, it's been very interesting so far, thus far, with especially today and the technology. Oh, you're still here? You're here?
There you
You're
go.
back?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Girl,
still here.
it was me this I think my
Yeah.
power just went out. So I'm like,
No, I'm still here and
yeah, we love
you're there.
technology.
There you
Technology
go.
is one of those things.
That's because
Girl,
our
I
conversation was getting really
look,
good.
yeah, that's again, right? And so this just means, we're just gonna have to bring you back. And we're
There
gonna have to
you
talk
go.
some more about it. But I just want to say, um, there's so many different dynamics when it comes to siblings just by itself. There's so many different
Yeah.
dynamics when it comes to a caregiver. There's dynamics just when it comes to setting those boundaries. But I don't want to leave like on a down note. But
Well,
you
well,
pretty much
I
nailed
do
it
want
when
to
you
say one thing.
yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Communication, I can't stress it enough. Um, I wish that I had the open communication with my other siblings. Um, and it just didn't happen that way. So I did have it with the one sibling, and we talked every day, like literally every day. We talked every day. And again, I'm so grateful for that. I mean, he and I have always been close, and that brought us closer. And, so, but definitely have all the hard conversations. It's life. It's
It
life.
is. It is.
Um, and it's going to happen whether you have these conversations or not, unfortunately. And nobody knows what when our parents age, what that's going to look like. Nobody knows. They don't even know,
No.
So you need to have the hard conversations. And
Yeah. Yeah. Because, we always think about life.
in the moment. Yeah. You froze again. There you go. Okay.
Ooh,
You did.
child, we're gonna end this. We're gonna end
No.
this because but I was just gonna say, we don't talk that much about the in-between time and what happens in case there's a disability, in case there is a diagnosis that's debilitating. We don't have those
Yeah.
conversations. And I think again, when we talk about putting stuff in place, that is the conversation we need to have because we could talk about, do you want to be cremated? Do you want to have a burial? Do you want this? Do you want that? But we don't talk about those conversations of,
Yeah.
and as a family, of what if there's a debilitating diagnosis and you're no longer able to care for yourself? Who is going to be caring for, like no children, the
Yeah.
girl in the family. And so I think for me, it just kind of defaulted. But and it defaulted, but it wasn't a
Mhm.
conversation that was had. But like you, I was just kind of like, this is my mom, I'm going to do it. And whatever needs to be done will be done. And I made it
Right.
happen. Sounds good until you're sitting in the doctor's office with blood pressure and the doctor talking about they're going to admit you. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we're going to wrap this up because I have no idea what's going on, but I have two questions that I
Okay.
want to, ask you here. If you could tell every sibling of a caregiver one thing, what would it be? Not just yours, but overall, if there's any sibling caregiving out here.
Help help the caregiver sibling. Help the care,
Yeah.
even if it's coming over once a week to do laundry, even if it's doing the grocery shopping. Whatever. You may think, oh, she's doing everything and she got it, or oh, she's doing everything and I don't know how I can fit in. You can fit in sometimes just sitting for 2 hours while the caregiver go get a massage or something. I mean,
Mhm.
it's simple things like that that and what they don't understand, it helps the parent as well.
Yeah.
It helps the parent as well. And so I think it's just get out of your own way.
Ooh,
Get out of your own way and volunteer to do anything you can, even if it's laundry. You
yeah.
know, just show
Yeah.
some effort. Show some effort. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I like that. Show some effort.
Yeah.
All right. So we talk about sibling stereotypes. So I just threw a couple out here and I want you to tell me which one you think you fit or if you have your own. So we have the peacemaker, the organizer, the comedian, the protector, or the wild card. Which sibling stereotype, or if you have your own, which one are you?
Uh, D, all of the above.
That is so funny because when I was writing this out, I was like, did I just describe myself?
Right. Um,
It's on the
I would
day, right?
I think I guess if I had to pick one, it would be the organizer. It
Okay.
would
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
would be the
Yeah.
organizer
Yeah.
because I'm just gonna jump in and I'm gonna make it happen. Period.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my main one. Peace might fall on the last one. That might be
It's the
lower
last one.
down. Yeah. Peace is probably the fifth, but it's
Right.
on there at times. But no, I think as a caregiver, you actually have to be all of those because you're constantly wearing different hats depending on the day, and all that can be determined on the person that you're caring for. Because I could wake up and be like, I'm in a good day, and then I would be called she, and she don't do this and she don't do that,
You
and I'll be
don't do
like,
that.
womp 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 womp,
Right.
there goes my day. And so I had to learn to not allow whatever my mom was going through to affect my
Yeah.
mood in that moment, which was hard. I'm just gonna
Yeah.
say it's hard. But twin, I want to say thank you so much.
Thank you for
Even in
having me.
spite of all of the technical difficulties before we hit the record button, once we hit the record button, again, this conversation, we could keep going and going and going. But let's go ahead and just wrap this up because I'll just bring you back on again. You know, we'll find, you know, when I think about topics, I have a topic I want for you specifically. So I'll tell you that offline. But
Definitely.
again, thank you so much.
I would love to come back. Yes,
Yes,
definitely. I was
yes,
nervous
yes.
at first, but it was
No, it's just a conversation with you and
It's a
I, like we're on the
conversation.
phone. We just got the
Yeah.
camera on this time, but yeah, it's you know, it's always scary that first time. And I want to say thank
Right.
you for pushing that scariness off to the side and joining me for caregiving and conversations.
Thank
All right,
you.
everybody, that's this episode. But before we go, I want to say, remember to give yourself grace, remember to give yourself rest, and remember to give yourself love because you deserve it. Bye, everybody.